Hello, Internet friends. My name is Rich. Thanks so much for joining me today on the Toy Isle Alliance YouTube channel. Okay, here's the deal. With my Marvel Legends collection, I try to keep it mainly classic characters. So, Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age. You know, the 80s is really my favorite time period for comics. So, for my Spider-Man shelf, then obviously I just want, the most classic characters, the Sinister Six, all those guys. So in the most recent Spider-Man Marvel Legends wave, there were a couple figures that I absolutely had to have. One of them was Mysterio, and there he is, a uber classic Spider-Man villain. The other was the Build-A-Figure in the wave, which was the Lizard. Now this isn't... You could argue he's not really a classic lizard. He looks very dinosaur-like, kind of stylized. But he is a lizard monster in purple pants, a black shirt, and a lab coat. That's classic lizard enough for me. The problem was I didn't want any other figures in the wave. And I had to decide, do I really want to buy an entire wave of figures when really I only want, Mysterio and the Build-A-Figure. So I looked on eBay, maybe I could buy the parts separately, but most people, once you factor in shipping, to buy the lizard pieces would cost as much as just buying the action figure. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm just not going to get lizard. I'm going to make that sacrifice because I'm a true Canadian hero. And I'll just get maybe the Marvel Select Lizard and stick that on my Spider-Man shelf. But my obsessive-compulsive collector mentality, that just didn't sit well. And I thought, not having a Hasbro Marvel Legends Lizard on my Hasbro Marvel Legends Spider-Man shelf just didn't seem right. And I mean, what's worse? Your daughter not having enough money to go to college, or missing a key Spider-Man villain on your Spider-Man shelf. So I decided I would buy the figures and build the Lizard. Luckily, I bought these here in Canada. They're only showing up right now at EB Games. And I apologize how shaky my camera is. But EB Games had these mispriced at, there's my sexy arm, at $20. If you had an edge card. Without the edge card, it was about $22. Usually Marvel Legends figures in Canada are $30. So these are actually, with my edge card, which is like this kind of lame card they scam you into getting when you go to EB Games. I was only paying $20 a figure, so that also made it go down a little better, that I was buying the whole wave with some figures I didn't want. But then a buddy of mine said he actually would take the figures I didn't want off my hands, even with the BAF piece. So, long story made ridiculously longer. I got all the figures. I kept the ones I wanted, and I sold the rest to a buddy of mine, all so that I could get this guy. He is the Lizard. Now, some people aren't 100% happy with him. He definitely has a dinosaur head. It definitely looks like a raptor. But I mean, it's unmistakably Lizard. Like I said, purple pants, lab coat, Bob's your uncle. He's my Lizard figure. I even thought maybe not buying the Glenpool, so, he just wouldn't have a tail. But again, that seems ridiculous. So I think he's great. I'm not going to go over all his articulation. You can watch better YouTube channels for that. The tongue is kind of weird, though, because he does have a movable jaw, but it doesn't look right with his tongue sticking out like that when the jaw is closed. So I recommend keeping his jaw open, and you'll probably have to use his tail as a kickstand to help him stand. The other thing is he has pretty decent articulation, but you'll notice his legs are double jointed, but they barely move from that position. So it's really strange. I don't know if it's the sculpt of the pants or what, but that's pretty much the position his legs are stuck in, maybe give or take a couple millimeters. And of course, the other figure that I really wanted in this wave was Mysterio. And there's no doubt about it. He is a classic Mysterio. He also comes with a couple of these cool effects parts, which are very Mysterio-esque. Like I said, he comes with two of those. I don't think Mysterio is actually magic. I think it's all more illusion and David Henning style sleight of hand. But definitely a classic figure. One common complaint, Mysterio's dome is supposed to be very misty and you can't really see inside. I don't know if you can really tell. There is a sculpted head. It's translucent green. It's basically a skull with a snake or a tentacle coming out of the eye socket. I'm not, and you can easily remove the helmet. I'm not going to do that because I'm lazy. So some people thought you can see too much of his head, basically. But on the shelf, on my Spider-Man shelf, from a distance, it just does look like, that misty, can't really tell what's exactly under the dome kind of look. So that's fine. There is a running variant or a running change where instead of translucent green, it's translucent white. Or just translucent, I guess. I think that's the better option, and I kind of wish I had that one, but again, I'm totally good with this. On my Spider-Man shelf, he looked like Mysterio. I like the look. I like everything about this guy. I think he's better than the old Toy Biz Mysterio that they made a few years ago, which was still a good figure, but I do think I do think Hasbro did a good job on this guy. And the other figure that I kept after I purged the ones I didn't want was Prowler. He is actually pretty cool, and he is a classic character. There have been a couple different Prowlers, but he originally debuted, I believe, in the 60s, so he definitely warrants a place on my shelf. Nothing too spectacular. It's a fairly simple costume, but I think Hasbro did a pretty good job with him, and he's a lot of fun to pose. So there you go, guys. An abbreviated look at the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure wave with a couple of very, very classic Spider-Man villains. I'm really excited. We only need 3 more Spider-Man villains for my life to be complete, as it is in regards to Marvel Legends and Spider-Man. It would be Dr. Octopus, who has confirmed, and he is coming, and he is super classic looking, so I'm really happy about that. The other one is the Vulture. We had an Ultimate Vulture, but not a classic Vulture, so definitely want that. And the final figure that is a must-have for me as far as Spider-Man goes is Scorpion. So once we get Doc Ock, Scorpion, and the Vulture, I will be a happy, happy man singing the 60s Spider-Man cartoon theme as the day is long. So there you go, guys. Just a quick look at a couple of Marvel Legends. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I will see ya. And now we'll just let Lizard fall. See you guys.